This episode is sponsored by Irish Dance Theatre. My name is Martin Percival and you are listening to the Irish Dance Podcast, folk dance to phenomenon and beyond. Hello everyone, I'd like to introduce you to our guest today. He's a dancer, teacher, writer, author and radio show host, and has had the great honour of interviewing a whole slew of famous celebrities. Please welcome Mr. Alan Murphy.
Martin, that's such a great introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, you have a really impressive resume, or CV, as they say back home. And I was so excited to be able to talk to you about, just your involvement in Irish dance and all of the other really exciting stuff that happens in your life. So, can we start at the beginning on how you started with Irish dance and who you dance for, and all of those usual questions?
Yeah, of course, Martin, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited myself to be talking to you. So I started dancing the usual kind of age when I was about 4 or 5, and I'm from a really small town in Ballinrobe in County Mayo. So I started with the teachers here, that'd be Ruth and Mrs. Anne Hussey, and I danced with them for several years, and then eventually I danced for Rua and Anne Kerr. That's where I would have spent most of my dancing career, dancing for her. So that was in Sligo. So I used to drive, my parents used to drive me about an hour and a half each way to class 2 or 3 times a week. So it was a big commitment.
So you'd say you were fairly dedicated. What made you start, and why did you keep it up?
I can't even really remember what made me start. I know my 2 older sisters danced, so I suppose it was just a natural thing. I'm the youngest in the family to just start me dancing as well. And when we were dancing, definitely for the first few years, it would have been my older sister that would have been much more into it than me. I was your typical kind of boy, the way I might practice the night before the Connachts and not kind of do too much. And then I think nearly when it gets to the make or break age for boys, when they're about 12 or 13, I really got into it then. And that's when I really started working hard at it and got very competitive at it. And then I just loved it and danced competitively till I was about 18. And I really, really loved it by that stage.
You were one of the lucky ones, I would say, then, because it is a hard transition for boys going through that. I myself quit for a couple of years from the age of 14 to 16, and I had a really tough time in school with it and everything, and, just figuring life out at that point. But what would you say that... I know the competition was probably a big aspect of keeping you involved. I know it's kind of back in the day was a secret world almost.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I got both sides of the boy experience as a dancer, because I was first in the kilt and then I was also lucky enough to be in trousers later on. So I got the whole element of, a boy wearing a skirt at school and all that kind of, bullying that went on and things like that. And it was very hard being a boy, but I got to see the other side of it as well. But definitely what really the most thing for me was just I had the best little group of friends, and I'm still so friendly with them today. And it's funny, people think because I work in radio that I'm really confident, but when I was back in school, I was actually very shy, and I wouldn't have been, like the most popular kid in school. I'd have been quite quiet and kept to myself, but my dancing friends were who I hung out with all the time, and they're still some of my best friends. So dancing was really such a great kind of way to bring me out of my shell, I thought, almost.
Yeah, and so you were good at it as well. I'm sure that helped. So I know for me that
sometimes I was good.
But it resonates when you say, about being a boy. I mean, I didn't practice very hard. I think I had some natural talent, but my teacher was brilliant, and she got the best out of me. But it was in competition where I just felt at home, and so that really just to be able to do something that you're good at. And of course I spent a lot of time with my mum. But what was the family dynamic? Your sisters dance, did they keep going as well?
Yeah, so my eldest sister, she was just gave up when she was about 12 and had no interest whatsoever. She'd more want to go to a disco at the weekend or hang out with friends, not go to a fete. But my other sister, the middle child in the family, she danced till she was about 16 or 17. And back then, if you ever thought one of us would become a dancing teacher, you would have thought her, not me, because she was so into it. And she'd spend the whole time making up steps, and she'd practice with me as I got older. And my mother then is just so into dancing. She was as a dancing parent, and now she she'd help me with Teach the Beginners, and she'd come to every fesh to see them, and she just loves the kids to bits. So we had a great family dynamic with dancing. My father would be into football. He'd be like, he's a GAA referee, but he'd be still so supportive that I was in dancing. He's very much like, whatever the kids want to do, let them do it. And he's happy that they do it.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah, definitely. So just to give yourself a bit of a chance to brag about what your accomplishments were in the competition scene, and then we'll move on from that.
Oh God. Well, I won a few Connacht titles, and I was top 5 at the All-Irelands, and I was kind of the perennial runner-up. Like, I was a runner-up at the Great Britain's, the All-Scotland's, the British Nationals, everything, but never actually won one of them in the end. So, but I had a good career for the amount of work I put in.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the taking part as well. I mean, I know that it's not all about participation, and we all like to win. But, when you're at that level, it is, if you're traveling all over sounds like you're traveling all over the place for feshes, so.
Yeah. And even I think, which sometimes they don't see enough now, this is what I always try and tell my kids, like, we wouldn't get too down about results. That back then we just were so delighted to be away and hanging out with our friends and having a brilliant time. The dancing was just one part of it. So that's why I'm always telling the kids to go off and have fun and enjoy. They're getting to travel around the whole world, and go up and dance your best. And then whatever you get, just like, I don't do, as I say, I don't do postmortems in the school with results. It's just give it your best. We work like crazy. We cannot work any harder. So if it goes your way, then brilliant. And if it doesn't, then still make your trip brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about finding the joy in it, really. For when I was teaching, it's the same thing. Like some of my most vivid memories are from heading up to different feshes, and just the crack that was around it, really, more than anything else.
No, totally.
Talking of which, then, with competition, well, actually, no, let's come back to that. So once you took your teachers in, when did you take it? In 2012?
I took my teachers in 2012. So when I was 18, it was kind of the time where a lot of my friends were going off in shows and different things. And I don't know, I was much more, like I said, back then, now my favorite thing to do in the world is travel. Back then, I was much more a home bird, and I wouldn't be like super confident. So I didn't want to go in a show. So I went to college and did journalism and media in college. And so I went completely away from dancing for several years. So I was actually 30 before I did my TCRG, which is in 2012.
Oh, you're an old man.
I'm an old man, yeah. I shouldn't have said my age in this, but I thought, how can I tell this story without my age going into it?
Never mind.
You said change my age. Maybe say I was 20 when I said I was 30.
The world's youngest TC. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you, I know you started your own school, but this was all after, so you had, I read some of your impressive CV, and you got a first-class honours degree in journalism and media, which is phenomenal. Congratulations on that. Did you always? That's obviously something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, when I was a child, all I ever wanted to be was a writer. I just wanted to grow up and write a book and be a journalist. And I used to say I want to read the news on TV. I literally knew what I wanted to do since as far back as I can remember. I was one of those kids that just was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And then all through school, I never, ever wavered from what I wanted to do. And that's what I went and did. And I loved my time in college, and I've loved working in that industry ever since. And the one thing I never thought, the funny thing is though, the one thing I never thought I'd be is a dancing teacher. And now dancing is my life, and I could never, ever not be a teacher or imagine my life without dancing. But it's funny because as a kid, the only thing I ever thought about being was a journalist or a writer, and never a dancing teacher.
Yeah, but you've accomplished that. So going back to your original passion of Irish dance is that it makes sense. It makes sense to me. It gives me goosebumps when you said that. How passionate you are about Irish dance. I love that. And you joined with Ursula Moore. When was that? With the joining of the schools? That's
right. So it's actually exactly a year. We just sat down and chatted about it at the Worlds last year. So it's exactly a year. But it's funny because I I opened up my own school and I taught completely by myself. And Ursula had her own school in Ballinrobe, which is about 2.5 hours drive from Ballinrobe. And she always taught by herself. But we were always such good friends. And she danced for Rua and Anchor as well. But the funny thing is we never met when we were dancers, even though we had the same teacher, because Anne that time would teach in Sligo and in Letterkenny. So she was the Letterkenny class and I was the Sligo class at the time. So we never met, but once I became a teacher, we just clicked and we're such good friends over the last few years. And we used to always comment that our kids had a similar style of dancing.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and Anne Kerr is just one of the greatest teachers there ever was in dancing, and she was all about style. So I don't think you could ever hide that style in your dances, you know what I mean, as teachers. I think it just naturally came out. So we used to always comment that our kids had a very similar style. And then we decided to join up last year, and it's just been the best thing we've ever done. I don't know why we didn't do it sooner.
That's fantastic, though, because there's a lot of people that try to, combine forces, and especially in this day of the mega schools.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always necessarily work. So I think it's lovely that you click and you understand each other's style and everything. I think that's great.
Yeah, and I think it happened very naturally as well because of us being friends and because we've the same roots in dancing, as I said, dancing with Anne Kerr. So it's just such a perfect fit. So it's brilliant, and we're just best friends. So it's great, and we have fun together, and we're very similar as well in so many ways. Like Ursula would always go to, before there was me, and still they come, but Ursula would always be at a fete and her mother would always be there, and I'd always be at a fete and my mother would always be with me. So now it's 2 mothers and 2 dance teachers.
Oh,
so
it is lovely, and that makes my heart smile because I was once told by someone that you'll never have any friends in Irish dance, but I have hundreds of friends, traveling around the world with the shows and everything, and it is when you meet somebody that you can click with, it is fantastic. So congratulations on that. How was your Worlds this year? Pretty successful.
We had such a great Worlds. It was absolutely brilliant. We had a great time in Glasgow and the kids did so well, and we had lots of world medals and a globe coming home. So it really is great, and it's brilliant because that's only the year together. So we're so excited just to to keep building and building and building on it. We're both very competitive, so it's been a brilliant last couple of weeks.
Oh, good. Well, I'm delighted for you. Of course, I hold Ursula in high respect as well.
Oh no, I love Ursula.
Yeah, I do too. So then back to your the rest. The other half of your life, so to speak. You have your radio show on Galway Bay FM, and you've been doing that for 12 years or more. Am I?
Yeah, even more. I think it's going to be 14 years next month. So I got the job with Galway Bay FM about a month before I finished college. Actually, I got a weekend radio show, and then I was on did a nighttime radio show for several years, and then just for the last few months, I'm on afternoon radio, which I just love, and it's so perfect for me. It's just kind of a showbizy type show where we talk about celebrity news, and I've got great guests on the show, play good music, and we talk about everything from just like fashion to what's going on at the weekend to just a really light entertainment kind of magazine style show. So it's perfect for me, and I'm so lucky in that I'm as passionate about radio and media as I am dancing. So neither really feels too much like work, which is great.
That is great because sometimes it's very difficult to separate your passions, and sometimes you do a job in order to be able to fulfill your passions. So if you have 2 passionate things that you're doing as a job, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed by the whole thing. But I'm one of those people as well. I have to like what I'm doing, or I just won't do it. Yeah. I was always kind of like that. I'm very stubborn, I suppose my mother would say. I'm very stubborn. I definitely have to like what I'm doing, and I'm just one of those type of people.
So we'll get on to the celebrities that you've interviewed in a minute, but I just wanted to briefly talk about your book.
Yeah.
I will be honest and say I've only read half of it.
Oh, that's
But the book, for the listeners, the book is Beyond the Spotlight, and it's published by Book Hub Publishing. And that came out Last year, was it? Or the year before?
Just the end of the year, yeah, September 2000. I always say last year as well because the time has flown by. It came out in September 2016, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great book, and it's very, and I love the humor in it. I absolutely, I'm chuckling away as I'm reading, so it's great. I would definitely recommend it to anyone. But you're in the process of publishing your next one, right?
Yeah, so the first book, it's just like I said, it's something I wanted to do since I was a child. And then I've been lucky enough in my job that I've got to interview, I suppose, some of the most famous people on the planet. And I always thought, oh, that'd make for a book, because I come from a town where there's 1,500 people. That's the population of the town I'm from. Like, it couldn't be any further from Hollywood or Simon Cowell or all these people. And I suppose, again, my stubbornness, when I was younger, I just said, I want to be a showbiz journalist. I want to interview these people. And after so much rejection, I suppose eventually I kind of started getting some good people. And that one thing kind of led, one celebrity led to another one. And then before I knew it, I just kind of found myself completely plonked in this world. And it was great. So the first book was something I wanted to write for years. And then I was lucky enough to finally do that a couple of years back. So definitely I'm supposed to be in the process of doing the second one, but I haven't started it yet. But definitely with Irish dancing, it's very hard to find time to do anything, but I definitely will be doing a second book, and it will be coming out next year. I'll probably have to stay up all night to write it because I'm way behind at the minute. But yeah, it's going to be kind of a part 2 book. But the first book, I suppose, was a kind of a collection of all the interviews I had done over so many years. For the second book, I'm going to interview people specifically for the book.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be even more punchy than the first one, because I think I found my feet with the first one, so now I'm really, really going to let rip on the second one.
Well, good. How was the reception to your book?
It's been great. No, it's been so good. It's so... I guess when you're writing the book, you just think it's for you. You don't think anyone is ever going to... read it, I suppose. And I definitely wanted to write the book. I just wanted to write a book exactly like me. I wanted to write it the way I talk, and that was the most thing for me. I just wanted the book to be so me in every single way. So then when people were reading it and telling you they liked it, or the response has just been great. It's been so humbling, and it's been brilliant. The launch night was, I just think, one of the best nights of my whole life, because I think you just, you finally have your book out, and then all these people come to support you. It was just such a great experience. I'll never forget it.
Oh, well, congratulations. I think it's absolutely brilliant. How was the reception with the Irish dance community about your book?
Oh, brilliant, because I had the launch in the G Hotel, which is a really gorgeous hotel in Galway. And the first thing, like I said, is that I want all my dancing kids there, because the kids are just like part of my family as well, the little kids. So I wanted the kids all there, and we had such a fun night. It was a big party, and it was just a great night. But no, it's been great. The dancing people have been brilliant. They're very supportive, and a lot of them came out to the book launch to support it on the night. And no, it's been great. It's been brilliant.
Oh, fantastic. It's nice to have the support of the community as well, because as we both know, it can be quite vicious at times.
I liken it sometimes a little bit to the movie Mean Girls.
Yes.
Just at times. But then on the other end of the scale, like you said, people always say to me as well, you'll never make friends in Irish dancing. I have so many absolute lifelong friends that I know would do anything for me, and vice versa. So I think that as well is so untrue. I think you can make amazing friends in dancing, but there definitely is the other edge of the scale as well, a little bit.
Well, I think it's, in my mind, we are very focused in competition as a way of honing the skill, of course. I mean, with phenomenal dancers come out of the system, so to speak. But I find that there's not a huge amount of opportunities professionally for Irish dancers when they come out of it. How has your experience been? I mean, you didn't go into... Did you do any of the shows?
No, see, the funny thing with me is I was the total opposite. The last thing I ever, and I don't even know why, I look back and think, what was I thinking now? Because now my favorite thing, as I said, to do is to travel, and I'm so into dance. But when I finished dancing, I just had always honed in on the whole doing the media and journalism kind of thing. So I never even gave a show another thought at all. And then my friends are always saying to me, come on, do a show, come on with us. And loads of my friends went off, and it was something I never entertained. I don't think it's a regret, because I'd be very much the type of person, whatever I did is where it brought me now, and that was the right thing for me to do. I definitely wouldn't look at it as a regret, but I think the shows are amazing for absolutely everyone. And I think if I was probably 18 now, and if I was the type of personality I am now at 35, I definitely would go in the show. Yeah. I think I wasn't ready at the time when I was 18. It wasn't for me, but it would definitely be for me now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wouldn't have any regrets either. You have a very blessed life with what you've done, and you've worked very hard to get where you are. So,
yeah. But if it was as a teacher now, if it was with me, the first thing I'd say to the kids is go on a show when you're finished. I think I'd encourage it like more than anything.
Yeah, it's a great experience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a brilliant experience. Yeah.
And it has, I mean, the whole idea around this podcast is that, you know, the world of Irish dance was catapulted into the media and the world stage with Riverdance, and it hasn't gone away, you know, which is fantastic. And everybody in the Irish dance community has benefited from it in some way or another, whether it be having more people walk through the door for you to teach, or, you know, or just to have some other opportunities. But I do find that it's a little bit limited. What is your opinion on where where the profession is going?
Yeah, I don't know. I think first of all, if people don't want to go on shows, they can always teach, which I think is a great profession. And particularly as well, if someone wants to have a different career, dancing always goes great with another job. You know what I mean? Like, I have my job and then I have my dancing as well. Or I think the profession of teaching is just an amazing experience, because, you know, you get to travel the world, and you get to, you know, there's nothing better than bringing the best out in kids, I think, or, you know, hopefully making them more confident, or, you know, helping them realize their dreams. So as a profession alone, I think it's great. And then you see people like Ciara Sexton. She's just made an amazing professional career. I just met her at the Worlds last week, and she was, you know, the kids just look up to her so much, and she's so fantastic and such a brilliant role model. Or even then I know it's over in America as well, you know, Dancing with the Stars, but they have an Irish version here, and they did a mix. They got Riverdance in and did a mixture of Riverdance and ballroom, and which was very original, because, you know, the way you kind of think, what else can they do now with the show in dancing? And it just was so original again. I just think there's so many different opportunities for people, whether it's shows or, you know, teaching. I think it can only do good to a person, really. It's such a great skill to have, no matter where they go.
Absolutely. And I think that the life lessons we learn, and then transferable skills we get from being a dancer and a student and then becoming a teacher, are amazing. And the other thing is, you know, you can be dropped anywhere in the world and start a class. There's no problem.
Yeah, so true. So true.
Yeah, which is amazing. And I find it phenomenal that we've got, you know, Irish dancers in the most far-flung places. It is fantastic. But if we just talk about competition a little,
yeah,
there is this, I don't know, backlash, I guess, against the costuming and the wigs and this, that, and the other. And, you know, it's something that people always ask me about when they find out that I'm an Irish dancer, you know, or if they find out I'm a river dancer, you know, and they always say, well, what's up with you know, it's the usual questions. Why do you keep your arms by your side? And why do they wear, you know, wigs and fake tan, you know? And you just explain it the way it's on stage and all of that. But what's your view on all of that?
See, I am the worst ever person to ask for this, because I love the makeup. I love the wigs. I love the dresses. I'd be very much I'll just be honest, because it is an Irish dancing podcast. If it was nothing to do with Irish dancing, I'd probably totally give a different answer to this. But I'd be always a more is more person with dresses. I'd be like, go to town on dresses. The parents know with me, the first thing I usually say when a kid comes into a fete is they haven't enough makeup on, or their tan isn't dark enough. And then I fix all the wigs myself. I've got like this, I have what in my head is a perfect wig, and I always have to do, because even the parents come in and they're really good at doing the wigs, and they'll often say to me, oh, I thought you weren't going to go at the wig today. But I fix everyone's wig to make it look exactly the way I want to do it. So do you know what I think? This is what a lot of people that give out about the wigs and stuff, they overlook the fact that the kids themselves love getting costumes and love the makeup. As some of the kids in my class say, they say their second favorite day of the year after Christmas Day is the day they get their new costume.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think people overlook the fact, and then they overlook as well, you know, the way, like, dancing is so athletic anymore, and the kids are so gifted and work so hard and sacrifice so much of their time, like any professional athlete. And then the first thing a person will say is, oh, I can't believe there's a child in a curly wig or wearing makeup. Like, the kids are so talented, and that should always shine through for me. And I think the wigs are just a great thing I think the wigs and the makeup are just nice on stage, and I'm all for it. And I think the kids love it anyway. So I think if the kids like it, then we should go with it.
Yeah, so you're
I told you I was going to be the worst person ever to
No, you're grand. You're part of the problem, not the solution. No, I'm just kidding. I always said when I was teaching, if I could dip kids in glitter, I would.
That'd be me as well. You can never sparkle enough. It can never ever. As they say, don't let anyone ever dull your sparkle. That's the way I look at it.
But I do, on the other side of the coin, I mean, although having said that, you know, there are a lot of industries around Irish dance with the costuming and the makeup and everything. You know, we support a lot. Our economy supports a lot of people. But you know, it worries me that that it becomes more and more elite, and you know, there's less people can get involved in it. Just because of the cost involved, you know. But I just think that may happen with anything that gets pushed to the highest level, you know.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, obviously, that, like, as much as I like all that side of it, you'd love if it wasn't so expensive, because it just is so expensive. But I know in my school as well, like, a lot of people, you know, in the families, they get second jobs and they sacrifice so much as well for the dancing, or they've both parents working, or they do, you know, odd jobs here and there to try and, you know, get the bit of money. It's so not easy. That's why, even though I love that side of it, I totally understand how many sacrifices, you know, parents and families have to make to, I suppose, get the stuff that the kids need. So definitely maybe there should be some kind of a cap on it. Like, it can go a little bit too outlandish as well at times.
Yeah, it can. But at the same time, we all love it, and you know, you have to compete. I always said to my kids, you know, you have to put your best foot forward, and that includes what you're wearing and when, you know, how you hold yourself and your character when you're during the competition and everything.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So we won't keep bashing about I mean, it is what it is, to be honest. There's not much that any of us can really do about it, but it's a topic that comes up under discussion all the time.
And as I always say as well, if the thing is, no matter what anyone is wearing, if the dancing isn't there, it's never going to help.
Oh yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I think it can help when the dancing is there, but if the dance, like, at the end of the day, whatever they're wearing, it's always the dancing that draws my attention anyway.
Absolutely. And what I find fascinating about what's happening in the world of Irish dance now, like you said, it's getting more and more athletic. I mean, we're honing the technique so much that it's really becoming polished, and it's really becoming, it's beautiful and very robust and you know, frenetic, and you know, there's a lot of amazing things that Irish dancers are doing, and I would like the rest of the world to see that as well, you know, as it moves out into the performance field, you know.
Yeah, because that's why I defend the elaborate costumes or the makeup or the tan, because the stuff they're doing competes with, you know, like ballet, where they have amazing costumes, or figure skating, where they have such incredible costumes. So I think it's just part of Irish dancing, like it's part of ballet or part of figure skating now.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil, but that can actually be quite beautiful. Yeah. I mean, they are. It's just, I love, you know, the way that the dresses are going. Some people don't like how short they're getting, but I prefer to see what's happening with the dancer. I like to see their legs, right?
Yeah,
back in my day, it was right down to just
and they couldn't dance properly in them. Like my sister's costumes were like a ton weight. That's the funny thing. They actually could not. It would hinder. Like years ago, they'd hinder their dancing more than anything.
It's like 12 pounds of velvet on. Oh, God love them. Yeah. So with you, how was the transition from the kilt into the trousers then? Like, I never had the opportunity. I went as from a kilt dancer into a show. So, it was very different.
It's funny. I remember when I was about maybe 10 or 11, I was just, asked to dance in some town show. And they said I'd have to wear my kilt. They wanted me to wear my whole dancing outfit. And before then, you'd only wear your dancing outfit at a fete. And at a fete, everyone would be the same.
Yeah, so it didn't matter.
I remember I was at home and I didn't want to dance in the show because all my friends from school would be there and I'd have to wear what they'd call a skirt when I was dancing. So, but apart from the odd incident like that, I never really cared too much. I wouldn't really care too much what people think of me, but that's because you mentioned earlier on as well about all the life lessons you can get from dancing. Every single trait I have in my personality is pretty much from dancing. I'd be kind of like a happy person and do my own thing and like my own thing and not be worried if people criticize me or knock me. And I think that's why I think it's great. People sometimes say all the knocks kids get, but they're small knocks at the end of the day, and they help them grow up to be able to take bigger knocks when they're older that they will experience, when they're working or out in the world. So I think it's great, the way it forms you as a person.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And look at the way it formed you. I mean, so you said you were shy as a child, but then you've gone on to have this really successful career in journalism and radio hosting. And that's just amazing. And it's all, I wouldn't say it's all because of your Irish dance, but it will definitely have helped your confidence.
Oh, thanks so much. Oh, 100%. I credit definitely nearly all of my personality with Irish dancing. It just really it toughens you up, which I don't think is ever a bad thing.
No.
It gives you a thick skin, which I think everyone needs a thick skin anymore for the way the world is. So that's the first thing I'd always say to parents as well. I never take if a kid gets a bad result as a bad thing. I think that's it'll make them work harder and probably fight more to improve. And it'll also give them a thicker skin to survive, not only in dancing, but to survive everything when they're older. So I think it's definitely no harm. I think it does more good than bad always.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So is there anything else in terms of where you see Irish dance going that you would like to see? If you could rule the world for a day, what would Irish dance be like for you?
Wow, with Irish dancing. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that one for a second.
Yeah, no worries.
What would I like to change in Irish dancing, or?
Yeah, no. What would you, what would you like to see improve, or just where do you see it going? What's its evolution?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going in the right way because it is getting bigger and bigger, and it's getting more competitive, and the kids are getting more, as I said, athletic and talented. So I think it's just going to keep going up and up and that. It's just funny because someone mentioned to me earlier in the week, just a separate conversation, but maybe I'd love to see it be, I think it should get more TV coverage.
I agree, 100%.
And I know they often say about you can't show the dance because people can copy steps and all that kind of stuff. But it's all over Instagram and all over Facebook anymore, people's material. And, if people copy your steps, you can come up with new steps. People copy them anyway. They'll go to a fete and copy a step and different things like that. And even I know there's a lot of, obviously, with protection issues as well with broadcasting it, but it's the same with gymnastics or whatever. I think they definitely could broadcast it more. I think there'd be a great market for it. It's such a huge community. I think it deserves more coverage, media wise.
Oh, absolutely. I just think, we, as a community, evolving this dance form to where it's just spectacular on a stage and nobody gets to see it except the people that are in the hall. That's upsetting to me, but it may change. I just think I agree with you that you can most teachers can go and pick up a step, or dancers can pick up a step at a feis. So it doesn't matter. I think we should, people's choreography should be out there. And
because even at the Worlds, myself and Ursula, we went to watch the under-16 boys competition, right? Because it's just we don't have anyone in this competition, but it is just. There's some competition, some age groups in dancing. It's just an incredible age group. And it was in not the biggest hall, but still a quite big hall in Glasgow. And there was about 100 people, excess outside. So they couldn't let everybody in. There was too many people that wanted to go there. But anyway, at the end of it, we probably shouldn't have done this, but we went in the dancers' entrance where we're not allowed to go in. Because I just didn't want to miss this age group.
No,
we
of course.
sat down for 4 or 5 hours and watched it. It was, as I said, it was the most entertained I have been all year. I just wanted the popcorn to sit there and the cinema. And that should be shown. And every boy in that age group fought as hard as anyone would fight in any sport that's on TV. And the talent, whether you liked dancing or not, if you sat in there and watched that, everyone would be blown away. The way sometimes no one knows anything about figure skating, but they watch it when the Olympics are on. If people watch dancing when the Worlds are on, whether they like it or not, there's no way they wouldn't enjoy it.
I totally agree with you. But when the Olympics are on, there's this whole Olympic fever that happens, and I feel like that could happen for Irish dance, especially in Ireland.
Yeah, that's. Even if they start in Ireland, I definitely think they should even do. There could even be just a 1-hour highlight show every night for the week of the Worlds. I think even that's where they could do, make a start. Because there's been so many shows about Irish dancing over the years, and then there was Jake the movie, and everything did so well, was a big success. So I definitely think there's a market for even a little highlight show once a night or something.
Yeah. Maybe they'll get you to host it.
Maybe. Do you know what? It'll probably be on next year now, and I won't be the host. And I'll be like, that was my idea.
Right? Somebody will make a fortune.
They'll get someone younger in their 20s to host it. I'm too old.
Oh God, no! All right. So, I think we've probably pretty much covered anything. Is there anything else that you think that we should talk about? I do have one little rapid fire question thing that is just a bit silly at the end. But is there anything else that you would like to cover?
No, I think we've covered so much there. Your questions are brilliant, Martin. It's so funny being the one being interviewed because I usually interview people, and I actually always used to do a rapid fire question round as well, so I've never been on the other side of it, so I'm looking forward to this.
Well, it is a bit silly, but here we go. Okay, so first question, what's your favourite food?
If it's a dessert, pavlova.
Of course, we always love desserts. Riverdance or Lord of the Dance?
Oh, this is so mean. I'm going to say Ursula was in Riverdance, so I'll go with Riverdance.
Yeah, good man. Best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Definitely, it's not just a specific piece of advice, but definitely my parents always were just really, genuinely encouraged me just to be myself and to do my own thing. And you know what? The best piece of advice I could give anyway, or ever been given, is just don't care what people think. Just be yourself and be happy, and don't let it get to you. I definitely wouldn't let what people say get to me. I think if you don't care what people think too much, you're definitely going to have a great life and be happy.
Yeah, I love that. What is a book that has changed your life?
Oh, my favorite book of all time is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I was very like that kid. I used to nearly go into my wardrobe thinking I'm going to find Narnia. I would be very imaginative. Even now, all the TV shows I watch, everything is to do with fantasy. If it's to do with real life, I'd never watch it. Or if it's too serious, it's all, Game of Thrones or something that's this fantasy world. So The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is my favorite book, and I must have read it 1,000 times, I'd say.
Yeah, that's great. I'm a huge science fiction fantasy buff myself, so I love to go into a different world. Definitely.
No, me too. Which is funny because Irish dancing is a completely different world. So maybe we have planned our Narnia a little bit.
We've got our own Narnia with wigs. Yeah.
It's definitely like Narnia at times. Yeah.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes, I think. It wouldn't be my favorite, but I would have no problem with it. Yeah.
It's funny because some people really detest it. But anyway.
No, I wouldn't mind it. Yeah.
And lastly, any advice you would give to aspiring Irish dancers about the world? So it can be competitive or non-competitive, professional, whatever. But just some words of advice from the great Alan Murphy.
Okay, I just think like what I always say to my kids, it's just, you really have to be so good that they can't miss you. You have to keep making yourself better and better. And I always say, just more like fashion advice or going to the Worlds, that first 10 seconds, if you don't make an impression in that 10 seconds and get noticed and get watched, like, as I say, you can literally have your whole world over in 10 or 15 seconds. Yeah. You have to really catch...
Not to put any pressure on.
I'm watching dancing. Yeah, but even if we're watching dancing, your eye goes to the kid that grabs your attention first. And it's hard to win back the attention then if you don't get the first look. But just in general, I'd be just like, don't take knocks too seriously. Just keep working hard. And the one thing I always do is you get straight back in to class. I always do a class on a Monday because, if there was a fesh on a Sunday or a big competition on a Sunday and it didn't go well, I think the worst thing a kid can have is a couple of days with no class. Just get back in, start working the next day, and just forget about it and get over it. Like, I always do a little thing in class where there's just like, it's the very, mindfulness version. But the way you do the positives of the fesh and then the lesson. There's no negative. It's just the positives and then what lessons you learned or what you can improve for the next time. Oh,
that's wonderful because it is important to do that while it's fresh, while the memory of it's still fresh. Yeah, no, that's great. Well, I want to thank you so much, Alan, for everything. It's been lovely talking to you.
Not at all. Anytime. It's been so much fun.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed our first episode of the Irish Dance podcast, and apologies for not getting to all the celebrities that Alan has interviewed. However, if you get his book, Beyond the Spotlight, you can read all about it. Just a little note at the end, we will be publishing episodes of the Irish Dance podcast weekly on Tuesdays, so please subscribe on iTunes or your favourite podcast app. And please visit our website, irishdancepodcast.com, that's irishdancepodcast.com, or search for us on social media on Instagram and Facebook. And lastly, a huge thank you to Mr. Sean Softly for the music for this podcast. Thanks, Sean. Thank you ever so much for listening and have a great day. Bye-bye.